Carl Jung revolutionized psychology with his insight that symptoms and behaviors are meaningful expressions of deeper psychological conflicts. But what happens when your mind naturally excavates the psychological layers beneath surface behavior? This is what I call psychological archaeology, and it's the fifth sign of your rare consciousness. You don't just notice when someone is being inauthentic. You can see the specific defense mechanisms they're using, the childhood wounds driving their behavior, and the authentic self struggling to emerge from beneath their protective adaptations. Jung's concept of analytical psychology was built on this principle, that symptoms and behaviors are meaningful expressions of deeper psychological conflicts. If you have this type of mind, you're doing this analysis automatically, constantly reading the subterranean layers of human interaction. But here's what makes this extraordinary and exhausting. While others accept social interactions at face value, your mind is processing multiple data streams, micro-expressions that contradict spoken words, body language revealing emotional states, vocal tonalities that betray inner conflicts, behavioral patterns indicating unconscious motivations. Jung discovered that this perceptual ability stems from what he called intuitive perception, your mind's capacity to read the psychological field around individuals. You're not just seeing the person, you're sensing their entire psychological ecosystem. Modern therapeutic approaches have validated Jung's insights through narrative therapy and symbolic dream analysis. Unlike Freudian analysis, which focuses on repressed personal desires, Jungian-inspired therapy recognizes that your mind naturally accesses both personal and collective symbolic imagery. You're essentially doing psychological archaeology by reading the archetypal patterns that influence people's behavior, patterns that appear in dreams, myths, and stories across all cultures. This archaeological consciousness explains why people naturally confide in you even when you don't invite it. You feel exhausted by superficial social situations. You prefer authentic, vulnerable conversations to small talk. You sometimes know more about someone's inner state than they do. But here's the challenge Jung identified extensively in his work. This ability to see through psychological defenses can create profound isolation. You're surrounded by people wearing elaborate psychological costumes, and you're one of the few who can see the performance. Comment if you've ever felt burdened by seeing what others can't see. I see the person beneath